Another chilly morning here in Nairobi, but we hope your day has started out well. It's the last Monday of the month of October. And good morning and welcome to NTV Today. My name is Olive Burrows. We have plenty to discuss as we focus on matters of higher education and we look at the positioning of local universities in the area of innovation technology. We shall break down the discussion with views from Rongo, where Bernard Ojwang will be talking to some stakeholders. Kennedy Mureithi is in Naivasha, where Mount Kenya MPs have been meeting since yesterday, and Dan Mwangi is in Nyeri County after a long weekend where NTV on the road covered extensively issues within and around the county. He will be talking to us about a market that clearly needs a facelift. But let's start with Bernard Ojwang. Looks like we have a bit of a technical issue there, but we can speak to Dan, who, as I said, is at a market in Nyeri, and he says the market needs a facelift. Dan, what makes you say that?
Well, let me just begin by saying that you're going to see a stark difference between where we are and where the market is, because the market, there's two issues. There's the large market at Karatina, which is going to be opened on Thursday according to the county governor. Then there's where they are trading now, which is a muddy place. But it's a very different one from what the scenario you're seeing here. So it's going to be almost like juxtaposition of what you're seeing now and what we're going to be seeing then. But we're still in the county of Nyeri, but as the close of the Moshi edition comes in, we are going to be looking at the issues that are affecting the traders there, the Karatina market. We spoke to some of them a few days ago, but want to go there and revisit and see whether they feel this, they feel confident and empowered by the fact that the governor last night on NTV told us that the plan is to have it open on Thursday. The president has made a commitment that he's going to be here to open it. And unfortunately, this is a case that has been said before. We've had the president having been slated to come and open the Karatina open air market, which is the largest in the region, but it was cancelled and it has had issues. About 8 years of construction, it's yet to be opened. The traders are saying there's a lot of issues around that, and so we're going to get it from their mouths, for them to tell us exactly what. Right now it's a very nice grassy place, but when we get there, like I said, if you were to put those pictures side by side, it would be clear juxtaposition because of the muddiness there. We'll have to probably get some gumboots to walk in there, but we'll walk in there, there's no problem. Matope tutasafisha. Nonetheless, we are going to give you that link in that information, those conversations in not too long from the county of Nyeri. But for now, I hand it over back to you, Olive, in studio.
Thank you very much, Dan. Mud about the market, that was the tag there. Now we go back to Bernard Ojwang. Bernard, what's happening on your end?
Well, thank you very much, Olive. We are here at Rongo University main campus. Remember, higher education is the key to a development in a country. And remember, we'll be, according to the topic of the day, we'll be talking to some of the students here and even the Rongo University Vice Chancellor on whether they think the government has done enough in terms of research and innovation in Kenyan University. Remember, we'll be interacting and get more information from them. And okay, to start, we will just be moving Olive will be moving to them just to get on what they think about this issue about innovation in university. And remember, to start with, join me here. Come. Do you think the government has done enough in terms of innovation and research in Kenyan universities?
Yes, I think so. There is work to be done, more work to be done, but the government has really tried to create a lot of room and a conducive environment for research in higher education institutions, particularly through the availing of funds for scholars, universities, and other research institutions to access for furthering research. Yes. And
do you think university student graduates are ready for the job market, at least to promote the country?
I know for sure, particularly the graduates of Rongo University, I know for sure they are ready and they are well prepared. They are adequately prepared because our focus, our philosophy of training is practical approach, so practical based. Our students have a lot of opportunities to practice what they are studying in class out in the field, through field courses, through attachments, through internships, through industrial-based learning, and that is the philosophy of training of Rongo University. So for us, we are trying as much as possible to train our students, to equip them so that they are hands-on. Whatever they do, wherever they are able to apply Yes.
Do you think the government has done enough?
There's more work to be done, like I said, but the government is trying. We have won several research grants from external donors. We have also won quite a bit of substantial research money from the government through the National Research Fund, and many more are we are still writing many more projects. Of course, more work needs to be done. Yes.
What do you think should be done?
Like increasing capacity in terms of developing a critical mass of researchers, in terms of increasing equipment for research, and in terms of increasing the funds that are available for researchers in learning institutions, particularly high learning institutions. Yes.
Many people usually say once a university student, maybe a graduate, come out of school, maybe outside there, they lack job opportunities because they usually just deal so much on issues of like theory. Do you think something should be done at least to ensure once a university student or a graduate come out of school, he has something to do instead of being employed, maybe white collar jobs?
Yes, and that should be ingrained in the curriculum. Yes, the students are not only trained to work, but they're also trained to be creators of jobs, to create employment. And that only finds manifestation in the kind of curricula that they're being subjected to during their coursework in the university. Yes.
In Rongo University, many students have been saying that they lack maybe practical things. What do you think you as Rongo University the government should do to Rongo University so as to make sure this university, once they come out of here, they have something to do outside there instead of looking for white collar jobs?
Like I said, we try to, as much as possible, train our students to be hands-on. So we balance theory and practice through out-of-class activities, the field courses I talked about. Yes, the industrial attachments that I have mentioned, and the industrial-based practice or industrial-based kind of learning that we really emphasize on. As you can see, virtually all our academic programs have that component, where students must only not sit in class, but at some stage within their curriculum pursuit, they have to try their hands out in the industries, in the factories, in the field, in agricultural extension services, and all of that.
You as a university, Rongo University, yes. You know, we have challenges in terms of doing some when it comes to media, we need to have studios and other things.
Yes.
What are the challenges? Maybe do you think if the government address will help you at least improve standard here?
Yeah, if the government were to add us more money so that we can access and buy more resources in terms of training facilities, but we are trying. The government has also tried, but we are trying. We have mentioned the media students. We have a Bachelor of Science in Communication and Media Studies. We have students specializing in journalism. We have camera equipment. We have media equipment. We have studios. We recently have acquired a radio setup, a radio facility from Brighton University. And so we are trying. It's just, we are a young institution, of course. We just chartered 2 years ago. But we are trying as much as possible to build on capacity and to equip our students and to enrich them with practical learning experiences.
What do you think Kenyan universities face in terms of research and innovation?
There are challenges. Kenyan universities face a lot of challenges because of lack of adequate facilities and lack of adequate funds to put in research and to put in infrastructure that can help in developing or bringing up good students that are trained. So it's a challenge, yes.
How do you think this can be addressed?
Through one curriculum. We need to ingrain that aspect of practical training in our curriculum, so that it is part. It's not just like just like an activity or an event, but it's part of access to facilities. Yeah, and 3, we need the government to partner with, not the government, but the universities to partner with external organizations, research institutions, industries, factories, the job market, because it is only through then that you're able to see what the market wants, what the society wants, what the labor market wants, so that you can continue to upgrade your curriculum to take care of what is required.
You as one of the officials here in Rongo University, can you globally can you compare maybe universities, Kenyan universities, with others, maybe in outside the country, maybe comparing them in terms of research and innovation?
Of course, you can compare. But, we are a third world country. We are an industrializing nation. The university is outside the in terms of their output, in terms of their resources and materials. So we are catching up. But of course, we cannot say that we are the same. We are not at par. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. You've heard from one of the officials there. I remember we'll be talking, students are on standby. They are waiting for us. We'll be talking to them later. And you've heard from what Mr. Loch has just said, that they are saying universities, Kenyan universities are still facing challenges in terms of research and innovation, and the government should be doing something at least to address this. And Olive, I remember, as I hand it back to you, the students are here waiting for us. We'll be talking to Rongo University Vice Chancellor Professor Gudo. Back to you, Olive.
Thank you very much for that, Bernard Ojwang. And in keeping with our theme of university education, you'll remember that the ICT CS, that is Joe Musheru, said that they are allocating 1 billion shillings to go towards innovation and technology. But let's look at what's making news today. What we're looking at in today's diary: former Principal Secretary in the State's Department of Broadcasting and Telecommunications, that is Sami Ishundu Itimere, has denied being on the run and instead says he will be at the Directorate of Criminal Investigation headquarters early Monday morning, that is today. Itamere, together with 22 others, including Lugari MP Ayub Savula, are facing prosecution over a 122 million shilling fraud case at the Government Advertisement Agency. This as ICT CS Joe Musheru and Treasury CS Henry Rotich are expected to appear before the National Assembly Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation to clear the air on their ministry's involvement in the scam. NTV Seth Olale with the latest update.
The former accounting officer in the State Department of Broadcasting and Telecommunications claims he's yet to receive any directive to appear at the DCI headquarters.
So I've been here since Tuesday until the happenings of yesterday, which I also just read about in the media.
Itamere is accused of fraudulently authorizing the payment of 122 million shillings by the Government Advertising Agency to a number of companies listed as Sunday Publishers, Melserve Company, Johntown Communications, Express Media Group, No Bands Agencies Limited, Cross Continents Ventures, and Shidlock Limited. Investigations conducted by the Director of Public Prosecution indicates that the companies are owned by Lugari MP Ayub Savula and his two wives, Melody Gatwiri and Helen Kwemboi, who are in police detention over the scandal.
I think it may not be right for me to deny or agree until I've seen the detail of the judgment or the prosecution.
The Director of Public Prosecution, Nurdin Haji, now wants the former PS, alongside Dennis Kuko Chebitwei, Director at the GAA, Dixon Oniala, Henry Musambaga, Frederick Okelo, Edith Kainda, Gladys Hadida, Agren Jeska, Martin Joroge, Joseph Kamau, among others, to be prosecuted over the fraud case. The suspects will be arraigned in court on Monday following complaints to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions over debts amounting to 2.5 billion shillings owed by the Government Advertising Agency to media houses.
Where I sit now, and when I reflect back, I've acted, and I did act in good faith.
A group of Western Kenya leaders, family and lawyers visited a number of suspects, including the Lugari legislator at the Muthaiga police station.
It is important that as we delve into these matters, corruption, we should look into issues of not being selective in investigations.
The 23 people accused of involvement in the fraud will face charges ranging from conspiracy to commit a felony, abuse of office, obtaining money by false pretense, making a document without authority, and aiding the commission of a felony.
The suspects who have been in police custody here at the Muthaiga police station over the weekend are expected to take plea on Monday, when they will be arraigned in court, while those still at large face imminent warrant of arrest. Seth Olale, NTV, Muthaiga police station.
That report by Seth Olale, who is currently at the Milimani Law Courts, where we expect the Member of Parliament, that is Ayub Savula, to be arraigned together with his two wives, that is Melody Ringera and Helen Kepkemboi. The persons we expect also to be arraigned is a director of the GAA, which is the Government Advertising Agency, and that is Dennis Chebitwe. Finally, after 8 years, primary school pupils will today do their last rehearsals. Class 8 pupils will be briefed by examiners on what will be expected of them when they start their Kenya Certificate of Primary Education exams tomorrow. Supervisors and invigilators will ensure that the candidates and the schools are properly registered and that the rules and procedures to be followed during the exams are clear to everyone. Warrants of arrest have been issued against 4 suspects on the run as the first batch of suspects linked to the NYS scandal starts this morning. The trial of the 468 million theft at the NYS will be heard by 3 magistrates, with 51 suspects, among them former youth PS Lilian Omolo, facing various fraud charges. All the accused are out after signing personal bonds. The 3 magistrates are trying the suspects, who include former youth and gender PS Lilian Omolo. Former NYS Director General Richard Ndubai and 28 other government officials are also on trial. Well, we're also keeping an eye on the inaugural, that is the maiden flight from Kenya to the US, non-stop. The flight was launched yesterday by President Uhuru Kenyatta and will be landing at the JFK airport in New York in about 4 hours. And we look forward to hearing from Alex Mwangi on what the experience has been like. In the meantime, back to our topic of conversation, and we're discussing the higher education sector. You can join in on the conversation by tweeting us on @NTV Kenya, and the hashtag is #NTV Today. I'm joined by 3 guests in studio from the University of Nairobi, as well as the Commission for University Education. To my left is Anne Acheng Ase, who's a senior lecturer at the University of Nairobi. Next to her is a person from the Commission for University Education, and that is Alice Kande, who is a senior research officer, planning, research and development. And next to her is Professor Jackson To, Senior Assistant Secretary, Commission for University Education. Thank you very much for joining us. Maybe we can start, for those who don't know, Professor To, what exactly is it that the Commission for University Education does?
Thank you very much, my host, for this opportunity. We work for the Commission for University Education, whose mandate is to oversee universities, to oversee the quality of education from universities. And the mandate of the commission is derived from the Universities Act of 2016, revised in 2015, and that gives the commission the mandate to ensure that quality is maintained in the university sector.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Does that fall in your docket, Anne? Sorry,
Alice,
yes. Sorry, I'm so sorry, Alice.
Alice,
Does that fall in your docket?
Yes, I also work for the Commission in the Department of Research and Development. Yes, but we work together to ensure quality. All our activities are pegged to ensuring that we enhance quality in universities.
Okay.
Yes, so we do contribute.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, now finally to Anne. And you work with the University of Nairobi. You're a senior lecturer. Is QUER living up to its mandate, in your opinion?
Okay. Thank you for this chance. I think Q is living up to their expectations. They are trying as the body which regulates the university systems in Kenya, especially in terms of research, innovation, technology, and quality standards. So they are trying to be within what the universities expect them to be.
Okay. Professor To, back to you.
Yes.
Earlier I mentioned that the government has set aside 1 billion shillings for innovation in the area of ICT. How did you receive that news?
Well, that was good news for the sector because, as you are aware, STI, Science, Technology and Innovation, is a driver that will drive the development of this country. And the university sector has, for a long time, been operating deficient of funding. And this support from the government is welcomed. It will enable the sector to do more research, do more innovations, and transform the agenda of the country. As you are aware, one of the key items in the agenda of the Big Four is manufacturing and housing. And in terms of manufacturing and technology transfer, the universities are the drivers of this aspect of development, where we anticipate that technology would play a key role and change the game of the sector in terms of transforming the lives of the country and Kenyans in general.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Alice, if I could come back to you, you're a senior research officer. Is it Q or QUER?
Q. Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Alice. Because I heard how she said it, I was like, okay, maybe I'm saying Q wrong. Okay, so Q.
Yes.
You're a senior research officer at Q.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So what does that entail?
One of our mandates at the Commission is to undertake topical research. And that research is aimed at informing policies that will enhance education in the country, university education in the country. And so we frequently, or actually annually, or depending on the aspects in the country, in the higher education sector, we normally undertake undertake research in relevant areas. And so that informs policy directives. Yes.
Okay. Anne, yes. Universities have often been accused of not undertaking enough research. Is that a fair assessment?
I think universities are trying. Universities are always researching. When the students come, when they're doing their masters, they do research. When they're doing their undergraduate, they do research, their PhD research. The lecturers are always doing research. So I think there is so much research going on at the universities. Only that maybe they are not documented, or people actually are not in touch with what is going on in at the university level and what the academicians are doing. So I think we need to have maybe more forums whereby people can understand what people do in the university in terms of research. But I think there's a lot of work going on in terms of research at the universities.
Okay. Now we have a biennial conference organized by Q. I don't know whether Alice or Professor To, who between you would like to give us a bit of detail on that? Professor To.
Yes, I will start off. And I want to say that the Commission is organizing the second biennial conference, which will run from 30th October this month until the 2nd of November this month. And the theme of this conference is positioning universities as the nexus of research, innovation, and technology transfer for socioeconomic transformation. The objective of this conference is to bring together the players in this sector on a platform where they can showcase their innovations. As my co-host here has mentioned, universities do a lot of research and innovation, but they rarely have the opportunity of showcasing what they do. And this conference will give them an opportunity to showcase these innovations, what they have done over the period in terms of researching, in terms of innovation and patenting. And at the same time, how much have they commercialized, or have they developed spin-offs out of researches that they have done. So this conference will give them that platform to showcase what they've done. In addition, we have organized this conference in a format that they're roundtable discussions and discourse. We have a roundtable for science, technology, and innovation, a roundtable for technology transfer, and a roundtable for commercialization, as well as doctoral and quality assurance. We have delegates that will make presentations and give the participants who have been drawn from different sectors of the economy, from the university sector, from the government, and many other organizations, will debate on issues that they feel can transform the lives of citizens of this country and the agenda of the country on development.
Okay.
So that is in brief what the conference will focus on.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll cross over to Mount Kenya briefly, but when we come back, Alice, I'd also like to get your take on the objectives of the conference. In Naivasha, sorry, not Mount Kenya. Kennedy Mureithi is covering the Mount Kenya MP's retreat. Kennedy, what has come out of the meeting?
Well, thank you very much and good morning to you, Olive, there in Nairobi studios. And here it is day 2 of the Mount Kenya leaders who are meeting here. And it does not matter, they are members of parliament, but they have also been able to rope in some government officials whom, according to some of the organizers of this meeting, they are talking about development in the region. And there is this feeling that since 2013, when President Uhuru Kenyatta came in, until now 6 years later, the region has not felt the full force of President Uhuru Kenyatta. You will remember that Deputy President William Ruto has made numerous trips to the region regardless of the county, and he has been able to launch even development projects. And they have been saying that they do expect that probably President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is one of their own, would have been the one spearheading some of these developments in the region. And yet there is this belief and there is this feeling amongst some of these members of parliament that Uhuru has actually neglected them. And this meeting is probably one of those that they are looking towards forming a one team so that they can probably meet President Uhuru Kenyatta and air out their. Yesterday night we were able to speak to some of the organizers, and they said that there is a feeling that themselves, they have not been able to come together and arrange and speak in one voice as other regions have been doing. Because we've also seen, probably also in news that we've been carrying, is that President Uhuru Kenyatta has been meeting leaders from other regions, including Western MPs, whom he has met not once or not twice. And there is this feeling that probably it is time that we also spoke in one voice. There are over 90 members of parliament, but those who are here, according to official records that we saw yesterday night, is about 70 members of parliament. Some of them will be coming in this morning. But the clear agenda of this meeting, as much as they are saying that it is development driven, is still not known, because there are those speaking in different dialects with regards to this meeting. There is this feeling that the meeting is about 2022. There is a feeling that it is a meeting about supporting William Ruto in 2022. There is a feeling that this meeting is about the referendum. There is a feeling that they're trying to look for a job for President Uhuru Kenyatta as he leaves the stage in 2022. And all this is actually coming up. And we are joined by one of the conveners, that is the secretary to this group, as today they also, we do understand that yesterday night in the meeting, they were with ICT CS, that is Joe Musheru, who was representing President Uhuru Kenyatta. We want to get the nitty-gritties of what they probably discussed in that meeting, because Joe Musheru left for Nairobi immediately this meeting was done, and probably he'll be meeting President Uhuru Kenyatta to inform him what the grievances they have. And probably when they will be meeting later in the week, as they have planned, this meeting is going to be a smooth one. And I'm joined by the secretary, that is nominated Senator Mwaura, and we want to know, is this meeting about William Ruto?
Not at all. This meeting is not about any individual. It's about the region. Because, Muriithi, we need to get value for the 6 million votes that we gave President Uhuru in the last election. So yesterday we had a very good session where members really spoke their hearts out. And of course, this has an impact because politicians have to ventilate. They represent the people. And one of the things that we have constantly heard from the ground is that we need to feel the government. We need to see development trickling in down. Because as we said in Kikuyu, we said Kumera Kumera, Duraku movement. What is the benefit that Duraku and Kumera Kumera is attaining to our people? So that is really the main issue. And today we'll be looking at issues to do with the development agenda, really. What are the key priorities of the region? Because in the next 3 years, we know this is the only time we have to do development. The 4th year, people will start politicking. It will be about 2022 and succession politics. But we have the government now. Let's not talk about 2022. We have the government now. We have a sitting president. What value does it mean to our people? That is the main agenda of this meeting. It is not about promoting any individual. And I would want to refute the claims that we are here to say that the president is still young. No, there's nothing like that.
But you see, that is a talk that has been there. We cannot wish it away. And you being members of parliament from the region where he comes from, and he is the one who is who is actually the spokesman of the region, we cannot wish away that matter as of now.
President Uhuru Kenyatta remains the undisputed leader of Mount Kenya region. And we are not here to advance anything other than the fact that he's the current president and that he owes to his people and the whole country for development. That is the most important thing. Whether young or old, those are speculations. Yes.
Then again, there is this matter that you're saying that it is all about development. But we've also seen that the deputy president has been to a region, that is the Mount Kenya region, and he has been launching development projects. What is the difference between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, because he is his principal assistant?
Yes, that's okay, and we are very happy about that. And also, over and above the fact that he's his principal assistant, we would want to see President Uhuru also. You know, the way he has been meeting leaders from Western, from Coast, he also needs to meet people who voted for him overwhelmingly, his support base, so that he can understand the issues of the people. Because it's been some time now, and we would want to have conversations going forward. Because even if projects have been launched, but are they the priorities of the people? Is that really what people want? And you know, we would have a more cogent and succinct conversation with him because he's the leader of the region more than any other individual. Because we own him, we love him, we appreciate him, we fully support him. So that's why it's like really a father speaking to his family, speaking to his children and knowing what has been going on, how are they been faring in school, what are the challenges here and there. That conversation we must have. And that is why we are all assembled here with that common unity of purpose.
You're speaking about priority and development projects that are being launched, but what is the priority? What is the feeling from members of parliament who are here with regards to development and what the priority should be?
Already from the conversations that have arisen, we are looking at issues to do with the road network. Mapping out of the road network, very critical. The issue to do with water, shortage of water in the region, issues of irrigation. Places like Mbere, which can really be, irrigated to create food for our people. To generate food for our people. We have issues to do with electricity, in terms of access to electricity. Issues to do with agriculture, because of agriculture, in terms of our coffee, in terms of our tea, in terms of macadamia, in terms of avocados. Those kind of things are the ones that we are looking at, so that our, the common mwananchi, we can regenerate the economy and create employment. We are also very concerned about the issues of small traders, our youth, the issues of delays at the port, business owners. These are the issues that we would want to really discuss with him.
Now that you've brought in that aspect of the small-scale owners and issues at the port, there is one member from this team who's actually brought in and is preparing a bill to present before the House, that is the National Assembly, with regards to the invasion. And his argument is that those people who've suffered more are those from your region. Is it one of the predominant issues that has been brought up here, and are you looking into actually taming the invasion of the Chinese and other foreigners into the country?
In the affirmative, yes. In fact, we are very surprised to see a Chinese roasting maize and doing small business, because they will connect with the industries, come and edge our people out. You remember recently I presented a petition in Parliament about how our people are not able to be employed because of the 6,000 shillings that they are charged from KRA, help, and those kind of things. We are very concerned about the employability of our people, either businesses or direct formal employment. This is a major concern.
Now, before I go back to you, Olive, in studio, and there's this question that is burning. You are all politicians, yes, and we cannot wish away the politics of the day, and probably 2022. I know even if you don't bring it, being one of the conveners of this meeting, it is going to come up. 2022 and your survival as a region. Are you thinking about it, or are you decided, because some of you have been going out and saying that we are fully behind William Ruto? What then does the region look to have in store, or what is the negotiation going forward?
First and foremost, let me tell you that number one, we are fully, there is only one leader of Mount Kenya region. That is President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Number two, our votes must count for something. That conversation, we'll have it at the right time. For now, we have the president. What are we gaining from the current president? Let's not talk about the future president. What are we gaining from the current president? But our 6 million votes currently must count for something. Tutaenda tu hivi hivi.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. And Olive, it is a conversation that nobody wants to speak probably in public, but it is one of the things that we are being told is going to be brought up in this meeting, either even if it is not among the issues that are on the program. It is in the program there is this thing called the AOB, and we do believe, and we've been told that it is going to come up as one of the discussion points at this particular meeting, because yesterday there are some leaders who were quoted even in the newspaper, in the daily newspaper, saying that they are looking at how they can fix President Uhuru Kenyatta even as he looks at his sunset years. And the argument is he is still young. It is a conversation that was started by Court Secretary General, that is Francis Atwoli, and he says that Uhuru Kenyatta is still young. Are they looking at creating a premier position for him? You'll remember that the referendum is also coming up, and it might come up, and it is also going to be one of the introduced points. So it is a discussion that they are also looking at. However much as they're saying that they're looking at development through the program that we have also seen, there is that aspect that they will be looking at the political angle and how do they stand to gain. One of them whom we had a very candid conversation with this morning was telling us that they cannot look at supporting Deputy President William Ruto just blindly. They also have to make sure that they know what is in store for them as they head into 2022. So that is probably a question that they are also looking at, and they are looking at to say, how will they also benefit? Are they going to give the Deputy President for William Ruto? Are they also going to look at probably producing one of their own to go for the presidency of this country? So these are some of the issues that they will be looking at. And also the referendum, they also want to find a lasting solution. The thinking also that we're also getting, Olive, is that from the political angle is that other regions seem to have already been able to coalesce together and speak in one voice, but probably the Mount Kenya region has been split in a way. So they are saying they're boasting about numbers of 90, yet they cannot speak in one voice, in a manner likely to suggest that they still have that backing of the people. So this is the politics of the day and the development. John Musheru, who was here yesterday, must have already reported to the president, and it is thought that probably later in this week, probably Thursday or Friday, they will be meeting President Uhuru Kenyatta to air out their grievances and tell them what it is. Irungu Kangata, that is the senator from Murang'a, was quoted in one of the media houses as saying that they will be talking about how to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta and how they will be fixing him, but that matter has been refuted, and also some of them are saying that he has let the cat out so early. Probably these are the issues that we'll be looking at, and we'll be keeping tabs on what will be happening here. Later in the day, we'll be expecting them to give us a communique on what has happened and what has transpired, reading to Kenyans and what the agreement is, and we'll be here to bring you as it unfolds. Back to you, Olive, in studio.
Thank you very much, Kennedy Mureithi. Kennedy will stay on that story. He's in Naivasha covering the Mount Kenya MP's retreat, and he was speaking to the legislator Isaac Mwaura, who said the Mount Kenya region feels neglected despite Kumera. Now, as we covered earlier, KCPE candidates are sitting for their rehearsals today, and now we cross over to Kibera, and that is the Joseph Kang'ethe Primary School, where our education reporter Sharon Baranga currently is, and as is the education CS Amina Mohammed. Sharon tells us the CS arrived just a few moments ago. We expect as we go into the exams, many more government officials will be involved in scrutiny. Government has taken extraordinary measures to ensure that there is no cheating. And of course, these measures started under the administration in the Ministry of Education of Fred Matiang'i, who is now the Interior CS, and given security is critical to the exams, is also still actively involved in that exercise. So we'll go back once the CS starts to speak, and for a brief from our education reporter Sharon Baranga. Back to studio, we are sticking with matters education, in this instance higher education, and Alice, Professor To was speaking to us about the biennial conference organized by Q. Alice, I would like you to speak to some of the objectives. Of course, the professor was saying it's sort of to give the institutions a chance to showcase their innovations. Yes. Let me look at just a few responses to our conversation so far, then we can have Alice come in. Bernard Koech says, it seems the research is just meant to earn degrees and not contribute to the economy. Universities should push the government and others to make the best use of research findings. If at all they can make a difference, for how long will Kenya keep importing ideas? And then there's Jay Kubasu, who says research work at MBA or PhD or in any sector is always documented in universities. I think that is in response to you, Anne. And then we have Wekesa, who says he would disagree, but he hasn't done his research for evidence on whether universities are always researching. I think that's also again to you, Anne. So Alice, what apart from the what are the objectives? So the institutions have a chance to showcase their innovations, and then what?
Yes, we anticipate that we shall see a lot of innovations, research outputs by universities and other research institutions. And we are hoping to see a different kind of a platform where not just about paper presentation, just to echo the words of Professor To. We want to see real output, something that has an impact on the ground, in the community. And so we've really encouraged universities and other research institutions to really bring out that. We're encouraging them to really showcase what they're doing, because honestly, there's a lot of research that is happening out there, but there's also disconnect between these institutions and the community, probably even around them. So we really want to have this conversation, and that is one of our key objectives, to say that we're going to have all these stakeholders together. We have the universities, we have the research institutions, we have the government, we have the industry as well. And so we want to speak to each other. And what will be of concern to us is to be able to distill information that will really inform higher education. So to that end, we believe that this will be different. We shall be able to attain that. And secondly, Olive, we are also going to have panel discussions. And what is quite exciting is that we really received a lot of response from a number of stakeholders willing to participate, to engage with each other, talking about collaborations and strategic partnerships that will really enable to, will drive, again, higher education to higher levels. Because as we've heard, there's a lot of challenges in, for instance, financing of research. So we want to see, what other options do we have? Can we speak, government speaks to the universities, to the community, let's speak to each other and see how we can improve this. And again, lastly, most importantly, we shall also have a discussion on curriculum reforms. And to us, that is very pertinent. We know this implementation at lower levels. And of course, universities and other higher institutions need to prepare for that. So again, we shall have that. And we believe that we shall get a good outcome from this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anne, is the University of Nairobi among the institutions participating in the conference?
Yeah, we are participating in the conference. I think there will be panel, even those chaired by the University of Nairobi. We are also exhibiting what we do at the University of Nairobi. So I think we are part and parcel of the conference.
Okay, but apart from the conference, you've been holding research weeks at the various campuses of the University of Nairobi. Is that the culture? Do you do it every year?
Okay, this is the first time, 2018 is the first time University of Nairobi is having a research week. The research week was meant to showcase what we do at the university. We had around 10 conferences going on from different colleges, touching on different areas, from College of Humanities to College of Social Sciences. All those colleges were
also, it's the different colleges.
All different colleges were involved, and different units of the university came up with the 10 conferences organized through the Office of the DVC RPE, that is Research Production and Extension. So we worked together and came with a format whereby we can bring people on board, and through the research week, there were around 556 papers, research papers which were presented. There are also those who were exhibiting, so the university was somehow, you could see the research going on. And the conferences, the ones which have taken place, went on well. We are today, Monday, we are setting the one for College of Health Sciences, which is also going on in their college. So the University of Nairobi is somehow engaged in research from the beginning to the end. And we are happy. We are seeing what the students are doing. We are seeing collaborations between the industry and the academia. We are seeing collaborations between the students and also the industry without the lecturers' involvement. So some students came up with the research which they've done with the industry, like on environment, things to do with education, which was very encouraging. And hearing that there is 1 billion set aside for innovation and research, I think this is good news. This will go to the universities and the other relevant organizations to ensure that our higher education does good research.
All right, thank you. And sorry to interrupt you. On your screens are pictures of Education CS Amina Mohammed, PS Belio Kipsang, and they're inspecting classrooms ahead of the KCPE exams, which start tomorrow. So there they go, they're inspecting the classes. Sharon Baranga, our education reporter, is at their heels, listening in, and will be bringing us a report from Kibera, that is the Joseph Kangede Primary School. Back to you, Anne, and you were sort of explaining what informed the research weeks at University of Nairobi.
Okay, what informed the research week at the University of Nairobi is that we have quite a number of researches going on. We have quite a number of innovation which we are dealing with here going on, and we rarely have forums whereby we can have students at the same time presenting their papers with the lecturers, with other partners. So the research week was to showcase what the University of Nairobi is doing in collaboration with others in terms of research, and have some output. Yeah. What do you really want people to do? How can you make your paper or your research be known in the public? So it was basically meant to take research to the public domain.
Okay. One of the comments we received in response to this conversation, which I read just a few minutes ago, is that it's like the research is done. The papers are presented, like during the research week at the University of Nairobi, and then they're just shelved. Yes. There's not usually much, perhaps, that comes out of it. Is that, in your opinion, a fair comment, Professor To?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that for a long time, I think there has been no opportunity or linkages with the industry and the end users to use these research outputs. And no, because a lot is being done, but it's not being celebrated. It's not being brought out. I think universities are not quick to tell the story of what they are doing. But we want to change that narrative that research and output should not reside in the university. It should come out. And that's why we feel that we need more conversation, more linkages between the university, the industry, government, as well as other civil societies, so that they can synergize and use their research outputs. We also realize that there is need for the university to also partner with the community and partner with the government so that what they're doing, the researches they're doing, is relevant and is targeted.
And it benefits the community.
And the benefits. So that narrative is changing, and we hope that we shall continue to improve on it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Alice, are there any specific cases in point that stand out to you of universities that are actually achieving that objective or on their way to?
Yes, we have cases. We have a lot that is happening in the universities where universities have been able to work collaboratively with the community around them. For example, we have the Rongo University that we've just seen. In Jowost University, they have a project on called Insafoods, where they're using crickets to actually make flour for consumption. There's actually a lot that is happening, and that is just one of them.
Wow, how does that work?
Innovation. Just trying to see how we can use these insects for our own use. And actually it is working well. Yes, so we intend to see that and many more. Yes.
Yeah, we may add to that. Actually, the Insafood project is so useful because, as you will appreciate, it will go into enhancing the food security we're talking about. Because Jowost has been able to bring out the fact that you can actually breed crickets and make a delicacy. And we've seen this delicacy that has been on the show.
Have you ever tried them?
Not yet. I hope you try soon.
I'm looking forward. Actually, and we invite you.
Oh, okay. I'm really eager to to give my taste buds an adventure. Yes. We go on a break, but when we come back, I'd like to hear from you, Anne, on specific examples of the research that the University of Nairobi is involved in that is benefiting the community around it. watching NTV Today, and we're discussing matters education. In keeping with that theme, we cross over to Kibera Joseph Kang'ethe Primary School, where Education CS Amina Mohammed currently is.
Thank you, Olive. We are currently live at Joseph Kang'ethe Primary School, a school that will be hosting candidates from 3 more schools from Kibera who lost their schools following the demolition that happened earlier in the year. Now, Education Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed arrived a few minutes ago, and she is currently leading a delegation that is inspecting the rehearsals and how the exercise is being done. Now, I'm going to give you a checklist of exactly what they are looking for. And apart from ensuring that the candidates have the necessary equipment such as geometrical sets, the schools are also being checked to ensure just they are registered with the center code and registered candidates. Candidates' names should be appearing in the attendance register. The candidates are also arranged as per index numbers at the spacing of 1.22 meters, and all desks are clear should be clear without any texts being written on them. And then the class should have adequate lighting, ventilation with appropriate seats. Now, these are just some of the things that they're looking to ensure that all the examination centers have adhered to. And apart from that, going into the numbers, we have around 1.6 million candidates who will be sitting this year's national examinations, KCPE. They will begin tomorrow, and they're going to sit for this exam in the next 3 days, and they're going to sit for 7 papers. Tomorrow, they're going to start with mathematics, English, language, and composition, and on the final day, they're going to sit for social studies and the religious subjects. Back to you, Olive.
Do the invigilators also undergo a sort of rehearsal? Because there are certain measures the Education Ministry has put in place, including having one phone, I think, for the manager of the examination center. I appear to have asked my question too late, but we'll catch up with Sharon a little later. We're discussing matters higher education, and in studio I have 3 panelists. That is Professor To of Q, that Q standing for the Commission for University Education. Next to him is Alice, also from Q, senior researcher, and Anne from the senior lecturer, University of Nairobi. Do you guys remember sitting for your KCPE? Professor To, do you remember what it was like?
Yeah, I do recall. Although at that time it was CPE.
CPE, okay.
The old system. It was a very challenging moment. We were very anxious. But unlike today, I think there was less of this security concerns. At that time, we would prepare and we would sit for the exam. And like anybody else who is going for an examination, you are anxious and you sometimes get frightened. But it was a good experience. I think we were able to go through it. And I wish the candidates who are now preparing for the KCPE all the best. They should relax and trust that what they've done over the last 8 years will surely be what they will be set, and we wish them the best. Thank you.
All right. Alice, do you know anyone who's sitting for the exams? Any friends, family?
Yes, I do. KCPE, KCSE. And I also want to wish them the very best. They've gone through the system this far, and I want to believe that they will come out successfully. And I just want to echo some words from a national leader who said that not all students are expected to be professors. With all due respect, sure. Prof. Yes, so let us encourage them. Let's look at the strengths, where they have strengths, and encourage them to really do well in that. But I wish them the very best.
Okay.
Yes.
Anne, did you have any anxiety when your results came out? I remember I hid under the bed. No, I did. I quite literally hid under the bed.
Okay, just like Professor To, mine was also the CPE, yeah? Yeah, I can remember. I think I was very anxious, but more anxious were my parents, especially my mother. She kept getting worried that what will she get, what will she get. So I think the exam is somehow the community. You will think that you are anxious as a person, but the community gets more anxious than you, but somehow you get over it. So I wish the KCPE candidates of this year the best of luck. Do your very best. We are waiting for you to move to the next level.
Okay. Professor To, one of the things that this government has sought to do is sort of, to curb cheating, is to say, it's not a life or death sort of of situation you're in. And there are other avenues through which you can pursue higher education, and one of those is through TVET.
That's right.
That is tertiary, the technical
and vocational education.
And vocational education institutions. The other day, the DP, William Ruto, talked about much higher numbers than previously witnessed. And he said this is, of course, the result of a successful campaign. What is your assessment of that effort?
Yes, I think it's a good direction to go, because we need to diversify and to let students be aware that there are very many opportunities out there for them to take. The good thing about the government focusing more on TVETs and technical education is that this country has been found to be deficient in terms of skills, in terms of the workforce and manpower. We have tended to overproduce graduates who are mainly managers in organizations at the expense of the mid-level graduates who would support the economy in terms of the mid-level skills in masonry, plumbing, and the others. And TVET is not an end in itself, but it's also, there are paths that one can take towards attaining a degree. And so we went through a decade of expansion in the university, which was good, because this country requires graduates to man the different sectors of the economy. But we also need graduates of the mid-level to work together to take the country to the next frontier of development. So I support the initiatives of the government. They're more focused on TVETs because they will synergize with universities, and the focus will really do the much needed thing to transform the country.
Okay. Yes. And you can tweet Professor To, before I forget, on at JToQ, that is C-U-E, JToQ, and Alice next to him, and hers is Alice Gakio, that is G-A-K-I-O, correct? Yes. Yes, and Anne at Anne Aching Ase, that is, Ase is A-S-S-E-E. Yes, and mine is at Olive Burrows. We want to continue having this conversation with you as well, and I'll be sampling some of your responses to this conversation. So, Alice, do you believe our education system has, in the past, failed to equip, our what will be our workforce, our learners, for the realities of today?
Yes and no, again, because that is the reality. The world is very dynamic, and so we cannot just relent on the reforms that probably happened some years back. There have been curriculum reforms. You had Professor To did his CPE, I did my KCPE, and of course now we're looking at changes in the curriculum again. And all that is so that we can have relevant and quality education. And so I may not really say that education is not relevant, and probably the graduates we're getting are not really well equipped, but it is also very true that a lot needs to be done to move with the trends. Because if we remain where we were 10 years ago, we shall definitely not be producing graduates who are employable. So it's a challenge to all education institutions to really evolve with the times. Yes. Okay. And we're speaking a bit earlier about various research, and we're discussing the crickets and and how it could help with the food security situation. What research are you undertaking personally at the University of Nairobi?
Okay, at the University of Nairobi, I'm undertaking research on use of social media by the learners, and I'm also looking at digital learning, using more of technology in education, and can we use it for better purposes to enhance learning and to enhance our academic achievement. Okay.
Now, I know in Indonesia they have a program where they use tablets sort of to increase access to education, in that they use them to share out the curriculum and also to access remote areas where you might not necessarily have the infrastructure or the resources to put up schools. the KCPE candidates who are sitting now, do you think they will benefit when they get to the university level for access to tablets and such technology in their learning? Professor Do.
Yes, I think that is the direction we are going, because technology is going to be part of us. And the use of the tablets and digital learning is what we should prepare our children for tomorrow. We allowed the initiative of the government to start the use of tablets to enhance learning. And we are aware that it has had certain teething issues, but I think the program is on course. They are piloting, and we support this because that is where we are going to. A lot of learning in the future will be through online, through e-learning, and through digital media. And I'm happy that Professor is doing that research, because we need to harness and to really develop the infrastructure for digital learning and online learning. And currently, if I might add this at the Commission, we are developing standards for manning and assuring quality of online programs that universities have initiated, because we need to ensure that the online programs meet the criteria of an online program and be able to accredit those programs. And we want to encourage universities and higher education learning to use online learning to support the face-to-face interaction. And in fact, the government of Kenya is very keen on having an open university that is going to promote learning through online and through maybe, say, blended learning, where we have part of it will be face-to-face and another part of it will be online. So that's the direction, and I think we should all support that direction. Yeah.
Okay. Alice, you're an MBA.
Yes, I am.
So did you undertake research in order to qualify?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what was it on, and how did it, or how do you view it or envision it benefiting society?
My focus was in strategy and management, and again I focused on university management. So for me, it was quite relevant. By then, I was a university lecturer, and we were able to apply what we really got out as results from that study. And so to me, it really helps if you conduct research that is aimed at addressing a specific area of interest. Then that is really critical. It is important. It traces the relevance of the work that you are doing. Yes, so I would really encourage others who are undertaking their postgraduate research to really ensure that they conduct relevant research and make sure that they do not just pile it in the library, but have it utilized in the areas that are relevant as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Anne. Yes. Now, the former education CS, that is Fred Matiang'i, had voiced a concern that a lot of you're a senior lecturer, but you're a PhD. Mm-hmm. But he had voiced a concern that a lot of these lecturers in these institutions of higher learning are not, what's the word, don't make the cut in terms of academia, where they've reached in academia, and yet, the providing or giving classes. There was that concern. Is that a concern of yours as well, Anne?
That they're not giving?
That they don't meet the cut for people who should be standing in front of a classroom and instructing people in their thesis or acting as advisors when carrying out research.
Okay. Maybe I think the Kenya education system is quite straightforward and is quite good. I can say our education is somehow one of the best in the continent. I think for one to be a lecturer, she will agree with me, the stages you've gone through to reach there, you've done your first degree, you've done your second degree, and now you're doing your PhD, you finish or you've not. It is a bit rigorous, especially in the public universities, maybe also the private universities. It's a bit rigorous, and to say that they don't meet the cut is a bit on the other side. I feel that the lecturers are well prepared and they really deserve to be there. Only that quite a number have not finished their PhDs, but that doesn't make them lesser
qualified. And I'll challenge you on that, because we carried a story the other day done by Charity Mwangi, and I can't remember which private university it was. And there was a lady, I think she was a political scientist, and she was saying a lot of people in their departments are not qualified. to be teaching at the university. It was a private university. I'll look it up after we go to Rongo University, where Bernard Ojwang is standing by. Bernard, who do you have for us?
Olive, we are here, standing beside me here is Rongo University Vice Chancellor Professor Gudu, and as you can see behind me, these are students. We'll be interacting with them following the topic of the today. What we want to know is, remember, higher education is the key to development in a country, and we will just want to know from these students whether they think they are ready for the market. To start with, we'll just talk to you'll start with your name. Tell us, are you ready? Do you think you are ready for the market?
Okay, my name is Vincent Marvin, the chairman, Student Association, Rongo University. Personally, I think I'm ready for the job market, depending with how we are being trained here in school. The attachment, we have the attachment and practicals which we are being exposed to by the institution. So that makes me think that we are ready for the job market outside there. Yes.
Do you think the government has done enough in terms of innovation and technology?
Basically, there is more which the government needs to do in terms of how they fund their institutions. They really need to do a lot in terms of their capitation, because you find that the way they used to fund institutions there before and the way they are funding them now, there is a real decline as at now. Because currently, if you see the effect of this low capitation by the government, it leads to poor staffing, ranging from lecturers, and this one will cut down to the students depending on the resources. There is now lack of resources. There are low turnout of the staffs. They are not even motivated. So this one will really cut down even to the quality of education.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
Do you think it is being said most of the students, they usually do theory instead of practical, and this is making them at least get it rough when it comes to seeking for job opportunities in the country?
Thank you very much, Bernard. I'm Barasa Oliver J. Omaye, the Secretary General Rongo University Student Association. To some extent, we can really say that the government is doing something, but they really must continue putting in more capital, because when we are talking in terms of the facilities and the infrastructures that are there in the Kenyan universities, we realize that the bigger universities are well off, then the developing universities are struggling. And Rongo University, like any other growing university, the government should really do something so that when it comes to innovation and technological driven studies, so that also we are at par with other universities.
In terms of maybe things like for students doing journalism in the Rongo University, do you think they are well equipped? Do you think they are good to go?
It's a good question, Bernard, and personally I'm a media and communication student, and I'm very passionate in my course, but what I can really say is that the government must really ensure that we are good to go into the job market, because as we speak, we really need a studio in the university so that we will have the enough skills so that we join the job market.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Joining me here again is Rongo University Professor Gudu. Prof, what do you think the government should do so as to help you, at least in terms of innovation and technology?
Thank you very much, Bernard. The government of Kenya has funded Rongo University, and we have tried the best we can, have a good staff, and we have very nice students. We have got laboratories that have been built by the government. We are happy that the government is funding the institution. We would only want to request that additional funds be pumped into the institution so that we get all the infrastructure required for quality training.
Do you think students doing technical courses here in university are ready to go? Do you think they are ready to face the market outside there?
The students doing technical training in universities are actually getting the right training. I think what is missing is the level of attachment, so that they get attached to all the technical areas where they will be practicing. We need more money to fund the student attachment so that the students have got practical orientation. And that may not be able to run well with the current level of funding for all the universities. Particularly, attachment is expensive.
In terms of practicals, do you think students in universities are good to go?
In terms of practicals, it depends on the universities. But I do believe that all universities in this country require rejuvenation in terms of equipment, in terms of laboratory practicals. They are good to go, but a little more can be done. Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Prof. I'll speak to the last person here. Do you think you are good to go, you as a university? Do you think the government has done enough in terms of innovation and technology in the country?
Yes, I think the government has tried, though they need to improve. Like personally in my university, I can see a lot of improvement from since I came here. Like they consider diversity in students. For example, I've seen ramps which can enable disabled students and maybe even staff to access wherever they're going to. And in terms of facilities, as much as we don't have enough of it, even in the library there are not enough books, but I think the university is trying by installing at least Wi-Fi, where what you can't find in the library, you can get it from there.
Thank you. Do you think students here are ready to face, university students doing technical courses are ready to face the market? How's it there?
Absolutely. Because of the nature of training that we give them, we equip them well. And once they graduate, then they're ready. They should be ready to face the market. And not just face the market as job seekers, but also job creators. Okay. Yes.
You've been talking about the challenges. What do you think, how do you think these challenges should be addressed?
One, in terms of increase to capacity, in terms of increase in terms of resources that we offer or resources that we have, and in terms of building, a larger pool of researchers and people who are willing to write projects and attract funds. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Oliver, speaking there are Rongo University students, and I was also speaking to Rongo University Vice Chancellor Professor Gudu, speaking there saying that them as university, they are trying their best, and the government now needs to at least improve in funding these institutions in terms of so as at least to help them improve in innovation and technology, so as to equip these students when they come out of the university, they face the market accordingly in order to promote this country. Back to you, Olive.
Thank you very much, Bernard. We heard that from Rongo University on the challenges that they're facing in actualizing research and innovation. And what challenges have you encountered?
Okay, in terms of research, maybe I can say that first let's start with the students. The students also face challenges in research. As a student, there is the idea of what am I going to research on? You need to identify your topic. You need to identify, first even you need to identify your university. Where am I going for research? So once you have identified that and put that into perspective, then you can move on with your research. There's also the idea of financing. How are you going to finance your research? Research is not something cheap. Research is expensive. So you need to look at ways and means of how am I going to finance this? And then what you are researching, will it contribute to new knowledge in that area? Everything has been researched somehow, but what new idea are you bringing into perspective? Then the other thing is that you need to dedicate your time also. Look at it that I have decided to do this research. I have to dedicate my time to it, and I have to work towards it. And also you ensure that you are in the right group, you are in the right setting, always looking at the library, looking at relevant resources, attending maybe conferences and other forums whereby research is being talked about. If you enhance all that, then you will be okay, and you will get the research very easy to do. So we encourage people to do more research, to do more PhDs. Thank you.
Any specific challenges you faced or are facing? You said you're doing research on social media and education.
Yeah. So when you do research, there's one of the major challenges is people not believing in what you're doing. Yeah. So what is this you're doing? When you're talking of social media, people dismiss you that social media is not meant for schools, not meant for children, it's not meant for these people. Why is it an issue? Then you look at it in terms of financing. Maybe you want to interview people in different places. So you get that most of the arts researches are not financed. the arts researchers try and finance their own researches. Can we look at the National Research Fund to finance the arts-based courses or the arts-based researchers? There's a bit of a concentration in sciences. Somebody is doing maybe a research on dental issues, doing a research on solar energy. Those was unfunded. When we start doing the arts or in education or in any arts-based sciences, you realize that there's not so much funding flowing in that area.
Okay. Alice, are there grants available that researchers can tap into? For example, the arts. Arts is not well funded. Research in the arts is not well funded.
Well, there are grants, and quite a number of them, available locally and internationally. For instance, we have the National Research Funds that actually funds research at postgraduate level and other multidisciplinary research as well between institutions, multi-institutional as well. And so it would be important for those conducting research to really address and focus their areas on aspects that are going to have an impact in the community, because I know that is what, for instance, National Research Fund looks at. And so when they probably fund so less of art-based, it could be because of that reason, because science-based research has an easy way of, getting a feel of it in the community. But yes, there are opportunities, and they're normally shared with students. For instance, we also have universities are funded by World Bank. They're also funded by DAD. We also have entrepreneurial universities, also funded by World Bank as well. And so there are a whole lot of opportunities for funding research that we need to explore.
Okay.
Yes.
Professor To, were you ever forced at any point to go into your own pocket to fund your research?
Yeah, sure. There are times that you have to sacrifice part of what you have to undertake research, especially when you get funding that is not adequate. It will make you sacrifice and dig to your pocket to support yourself, to fulfill what you're researching on. But I want to echo what Dr. Kande has said about opportunities and grants available. The challenge we have at the university is that is writing a proposal that is fundable, because a lot of organizations are available, but the way you craft your proposal to get the support is critical. And I think going forward we need to learn how to write fundable proposals, because they're available. And there are bilateral funding available from donor partners, development partners, from government and international organizations. So I think we need to really up our proposal writing for funding, and we will be there. Yeah.
Okay. If we were to rank where Kenya stands, for example, in the region, in terms of research, yes, where would you rank us?
Well, what I can say in the region, we have data and statistics that were done in the region. And when you look at the whole different disciplines that we do research in, Kenya is leading in East Africa, in East and Central Africa. But when you look at the specific areas like health, agriculture, social science, law, and governance, there are some sectors we're not doing well. In a study that was done a few years ago, Makerere University of Uganda is actually leading in research in health. UON, where Prof comes from, is leading in agriculture and also in health. But when you combine all these different disciplines, Kenya still stands out tall in the region. But I must say that there are upcoming countries like Rwanda, which is coming up very strongly, and Uganda. And I think if we don't up our game, we might be surpassed by our neighbors in the region.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting analysis there, yes, Prof.
Yeah.
Let's hear from a person online. And this gentleman, who calls himself Data Analytic, says research in Kenyan universities has been commercialized to the extent that no one takes them seriously anymore. Universities should compel their researchers to avail their findings to the public freely. Do you think that's a fair assessment, Anne?
Yeah, it's a fair assessment. Most of the researches, especially done by students, they are at the library. Okay, at the library also they are on use because other researchers can also go and read and refer to them. But we need to get away, as he has said, that where we can take these researches out to the market. That's what people want to see. They want to see what research is going on at the University of Nairobi, which is out there and people can see and use it.
Okay. Alice, your response to that comment?
Yes, I agree with my colleague that there's also need to make sure that we conduct research that is relevant so that, you know, it does not just end up, you know, in those shelves. So that way we shall be able to make sure that we are having the result out there. Because when it comes to commercialization, we're looking at people trying to make quick money out of it. And so they will not really do justice to the kind of work that they are doing, the research that they are doing. And so definitely we do not expect to see any result even in the community. So it is very important to really have that responsibility as an academic to make sure that what you're doing is really going to transform something, some community, somewhere. Yes, that way research will be relevant.
Okay. Yes. And just to remind you, you can still send us your messages on at NTV Kenya, at Olive Burrows. And you said your handle was?
Anne Achieng Ase.
Ase, is that double S-E?
S-double-E.
Just one S?
A-1-S-double-E.
Yes. A-1-S-double-E. Alice, you said yours was Alice Agakio, that is G-A-K-I-O. And Professor To, you said yours was at J-To C-U-E. Professor, do you ever just sit back or when you're attending even graduation ceremonies? What's you know, do you have one of those pet peeves that just nags at you that you wish universities would address?
Yeah, thank you, Olive, for that question. There's a lot that whenever we attend graduation ceremonies that comes to our minds is that these graduates who are completing should ideally find opportunities to put their skills they have earned into practice. And what usually crosses our minds is that are our programs, is our curriculum relevant to the needs of the industry? That crosses our minds because every year we have thousands of students who are graduating, and thereafter you hear many of them saying that we've not secured employment. So of concern to us is are we really able to, have we tailored our programs to the needs of the industry, government, and other organizations? That comes to my mind, and my desire would be there is need for the universities to be more innovative. And one thing they need to do is when they're training students and giving them education is to impart in them the idea that they are not only going to be job seekers, but also job creators. And I'm glad that Rongo University, a student said that we are also imparting them skills on how to create jobs, not just to support jobs. That's one thing. So they should embed entrepreneurial courses which will provoke their minds to think of what they can do after graduation. That is one. Two is to also interest the industry to partner with universities, particularly at the point of internship and attachment, because there is a disconnect between attachment, internship between universities and the industry. If they can synergize so that the industry can tell universities, say in some programs in engineering, that if you can add this content in your curriculum, your graduates will be relevant. So this conversation and partnership should begin early, so that there will be a smooth transition towards the world of industry. That is what we would really wish to happen.
Okay. Yes. Two questions, one to Alice, one to Anne. Alice, do you ever sit down and meet with employers and they're like, you guys, the quality of graduates has declined? I mean, it's not the same as when Professor To was sitting for his CPE. Do you ever hear those complaints? And then, Anne, do you ever think to yourself that no, the quality of the students we are getting from the high schools has deteriorated or needs improvement, or are they up to the mark? Okay. So I don't know, we should start with Anne.
All right. Yeah. Okay, fine. Olive, I think the quality of the students we get from high school to the university, I think the transition path also needs to be well cleared, but somehow we could say there are those who are good, there are those who are average, and there are those who are not focused. I can't say they are bad, just not focused, because they have not been prepared from high school that you are going to the university and this is what is expected of you. So here you are, you come to the university, there are challenges here, you don't know what it's all about, so they come and they fizzle out. But those who are focused will move on. So the high school teachers cannot be blamed, they do their work, but there's a missing link in that. I don't know at which point we could talk of transition, that you are now going to the university and this is how we prepare you. But somehow the quality of students in Kenya is generally not so bad.
Not so, wow, that's not a ringing endorsement. Professor To, yes. I mean, previously, I think I have older cousins who said, I think before they joined university, they went through a program. Yes. I don't know whether it was the NYS.
The NYS, yes.
Was it mandatory?
It was.
And did you undergo that program? And do you think it's sort of fully baked you now? By the time you're entering university, you're well cooked?
Yeah, I must admit it prepared us well to the university in terms of being able, it hardened us. It was a requirement at that time that we went through the NYS for 4 months training, which was mainly in terms of preparing you physically, psychologically, and to mature. Yes, at the time we went there, we were negative about it because the people who were handling us were people who may not have had a high level of education, and they were mishandling us. But with time, we were able to adapt and appreciate the training they gave us. And I should say that when we joined university, we were able to withstand and even up to now, to withstand challenges and to bear with inadequacies so that you can achieve the goal that you want to achieve. So in a way, yes, and I would even say, even now, I would recommend to the government that all Form 4 graduates be taken through NYS to make them mature, to appreciate work, and to be more disciplined in lives, in their own personal lives, and also as members of the community and the country. It would make a lot of difference if they went through that.
Okay. Yes. Alice, before I come to you, Anne, I don't mean to betray your age, but did you go through the same program? and did it help in terms of instilling? The professor talks about discipline. Did it help in instilling discipline?
Yeah, there's discipline in it, because when you go through that training, you realize that you're more, you know what to do. Let's look at Nigeria. Nigeria has the program, but when you're finished university, you go to the, what is equivalent to our NYS. Right. Let's look at Israel. Israel has it. After high school, you go to the NYS. Yeah. So I think if it can come, if we could bring it back, it could really help in sharpening up and making them mature. Yeah. There's some missing link, which I'm talking about, the transition. We are somehow missing something here, which we need to look at. Though it could be expensive for the government, but the people can sit and see how can it be done in the best way possible, because we could also borrow what Israel is doing, what Nigeria is doing. Yes. The students don't go straight to job. Yes. You have to go through the attachment, which is
national service.
Yeah,
national service. Couldn't say also a sense of patriotism, you know?
Yeah. Also you love your country, like Israel, they love their country just because of going through that. And we also love our country just because of through NYS. I think some of these things we really need to look at them and see that not just from high school to the university and you are there and college. Let's see also another way which can make people uniform and make them equal.
Correct. And you know, okay, for me, my observation is that you see the NYS recruits usually are engaged in activities like cleanup and you know all that. And I think if you go through that, you think twice before you toss your plastic bottle out the window, because you actually think about who's going to pick it up. So it's an interesting proposal. Alice, I asked you the question: do you ever get complaints from employers about the quality of graduates that universities are churning out? Prof talked about thousands.
Yes. Each year we have so many thousands being churned by universities, and yes, I could actually say it's an ongoing conversation, because the employers or the industry at large saying that they're really having to spend so much to retrain these graduates. And so the question is, what is it that these universities or these learning institutions are not doing? It is important for universities to really work in tandem with what the industry needs, and we know that that is one of the requirements that the Commission imposes on the universities to make sure that they meet that. And they have to show evidence that they're actually doing that. It is quite important also to make sure that the curriculum is also meaningful. It is relevant to what is changing in the industry as well. Again, as you said, these institutions cannot operate in silos. They have to work together, because the universities are training graduates who are supposed to go to the industry. So in this case, they have to speak to one another, and in so doing, maybe the conversation will change and say that we are really getting what we need. But as of now, yes, that is the case. Yes.
Okay. Professor To, does, for example, representatives of the Federation of Kenya Employers, I mean, are they represented in university councils? Because they're the ones who require these skills and who will absorb these graduates. Are they represented, or is it just made up of people from academia?
Yeah, thank you, Olive, for that. There's been an effort lately to have them represented. From the time when Dr. Matiang'i was in office, there was in the law a caveat that there should be a representative from FKE, or Kenya Association of Manufacturers, sitting in the councils. So, and the different organs and agencies of the government that deal with employment are represented. So an effort is being done, but I do not know how adequate that is in terms of influencing change management. So an effort has been done, but I don't think it's adequate. There should be a lot more, as you said, conversation, and how the users, the employers should be heard. And there should be more forums where the employers are heard, and employers are involved in curriculum reforms, so that they don't turn and say the graduates you're producing are not competent or don't have the skills or have to retrain. That can be done pre or in situ. But to sit back and come late and say you are producing half-baked graduates may not be very fair. But I think going forward, when we have these conversations, we can break the gap that is existing. Yeah. Okay.
And several measures have been undertaken by government over the years to address the half-baked issue. For example, you have some institutions that will not accept a student into school until they reach at least 3 years of age, will not go to class 1 until they're at least, I think, 6. Do those measures really help in terms of discipline and maturity of the candidates who are coming to the universities? And also, have you seen a marked improvement since, I mean, when Fred Matiang'i was in office? One of the issues was grading of the national exams, KCSE, for the purposes of our conversation. And there was this whole issue of not talking about grading on a curve. I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
Okay, yeah, I could say that when we control maybe the maturity, the psychologists will tell you that when a child goes to class 1, when he or she is 6 or 7 years, this child is somehow mature and is able to cope with the work of that class. And like initially we could take them even at their age of 4 years, this child is just sleeping in class, doesn't know what is going on. So I think this controls in terms of age, in terms of maturity is also good. As they reach the university, these children who go to class when they are 4 years old, by the time they reach the university, they are so young and they are already tired. So the work is all much at the university. So I think we need those. It also enhances quality. When you go to school, when you're mature, when you are at the right age, you are able to understand what is going on. You are able to move on with your university. So in terms of grading also, since Matiang'i started, I think the universities has had a problem with the Module 2 programs where they could easily take people who had maybe C minus or so, then they are prepared for certificate, diploma, then they move to degree. This route path was somehow very good. It ensured that the students can learn, and they have acquired skill at this level, they are moving to the next level, and by the time they're getting their degree, they are quite mature and quite good. But with the coming in of the new rules, now the university has to take C+ and C+ there. So we have not yet, we cannot measure now the product because they've just joined the university. So maybe with the time we look at, maybe another research needs to be done to look at those who have come through the rules of Matiang'i, the Honorable Minister, and those who were there initially, and is there a difference that these ones are now more academically prepared than the other ones? So we can't talk much about now because they are just yet coming in and they are yet to get out. So we need some little time, maybe 4 or 3 years to assess them.
Okay. Alice, do you think there needs to be greater participation by the private sector when it comes to the quality of our education?
Yes, Olive, that can't be better put. There's really need for greater participation by the private sector because really they're the ultimate consumers of what the universities are doing and producing. So they are taking part in what universities are doing is really important. And well, so far, what they are doing is quite commendable, but still a lot needs to be done. They need to really look for ways to engage and talk to each other in a better and more meaningful way, in a way that really gives tangible results, that we can actually see the narrative changing. You know, we're looking forward to hearing that really now we're getting graduates who are quite skilled. You know, they have the right skills. They're able to really even handle different areas. You know, these days you're actually even talking about quarter-baked, not even half-baked. Yeah, for the sole reason of probably not being in tandem with what the industry needs. So the private sector coming in strongly, that would really help in enhancing quality in university education.
Okay.
Yes.
Prof.
Yes.
You have 2 minutes with the president. You're at State House, Nairobi, Kenya. Q is visiting with the president, and you have 2 minutes. You have his ear for 2 minutes. What do you tell him?
Yeah, thank you, Olive. Given it's a very difficult task to do, I wouldn't know how to begin, but let me try and say that what I would tell the president and tell the country is that we all need to work together as partners. The issue of quality is a product of many stakeholders. It's not just one. And we need to make a contribution towards attaining the quality that we require as a country. And we have institutions and organs that have been given mandates to undertake and to fulfill their mandates. We want to ask them to play their roles effectively and support each other so that we achieve the kind of quality and aspirations that this country requires to move to the next level. If we all work in synergy, for example, the Commission for University Education where I work and the universities to meet the criteria and the minimum requirements for quality assurance, we will move together. We want the universities not to see the Commission as a policing officer, but as a partner that they work together to achieve quality. Similarly, in other sectors and other organs, we want them to work together in synergy to achieve the common objective of meeting the needs and aspirations of the country and take us to the next level. Do I still have more time?
Any specifics?
Yes.
You know, you talk about working together, the different stakeholders working together.
Yes.
Any specifics, anything policy-wise, for example,
Yes.
that would greatly assist Q
Yes. Yes.
in the execution of its mandate?
Yes. Yes, one policy that I think would really help Commission and this country is when we have a policy that will require of universities to demonstrate innovativeness, to demonstrate that their research outputs are being translated into products that can be useful to the country. And that we need to create a policy through the Ministry of Education and the funding agencies that going forward, a university that is seen to have made great impact in terms of community engagement, in terms of having synergies and linkages with the community and the industry, will be given a higher rating. In other words, we need to find tangible outputs from universities that would merit the investment that the country is making for them. I think that would be our take in terms of having a policy that ties research outputs, research products that have direct bearing on the lives of Kenyans.
Okay.
Yes.
I like that one.
Yes.
I really like that one. It's very specific.
Yes.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Periodically, Square is required to go into the universities and ensure that they meet these quality standards.
Yes.
What happens if they don't?
Well, we have mechanisms when we go out to undertake audits, which are done regularly or done because of a specific need. We give them action plans to fulfill the gaps that we have identified and work towards improving on them. And if they don't fulfill the criteria or the minimum requirements as stipulated by the Commission, we will give them a warning that we might have to close them down. But that is the last resort. We want them to improve, and there is a way in which we work together to fulfill the quality minimum standards that is required of us. So that's what we do, and a lot of we don't speak it loudly, but we are working with them towards attaining and achieving the standards that are required, and these are the minimum standards that are required. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for that. I really like those suggestions. If I was President Uhuru Kenyatta, I'd be thrilled. Alice, you have a friend's daughter who's sitting her KCPE at Joseph Kang'ethe Primary School. And while there, taking her a success card, you come across CS Amina Mohammed, who's undertaking or rather who's on a tour of the facilities to ensure that they're up to par. What do you tell her if she asks you, how is Q doing and what more can I do to help? Yes.
I would probably begin by telling her that we are appreciative of the support by the government in the university sector at large. But SQ, we would really appreciate, we would really get that support up, increased, so that we can be able to see more activities in the university sector, subsector. So that said, we would also request for assistance in policy directives and implementation. It comes to supporting universities in areas where they have strength, because if they do so and the mechanisms are put in place, then we shall be able to see or to have more output from these universities. So that said, we would be able to really see a better university subsector in the country.
Okay, yes. And finally, let's see which scenario, Anne. The Vice Chancellor of University of Nairobi is on a tour of the facilities, stops by your department, comes into your office, takes a seat, and you offer them tea. What are you going to discuss with the VC?
Okay, we will discuss issues of funding of the various projects we have in the department. We'll look at infrastructure, and we will look at improvement in terms of quality of what we offer. We look at our students, especially the Module 2 students, which are the ways of engaging them, and maybe what about the president?
If you happen to bump into him.
Okay, when I happen to bump into the president, I'll tell him one word: invest in university education. Pay lecturers better salary to ensure that quality education at the university level is enhanced in Kenya. Look at infrastructure and ensure that the universities are well taken care of.
Thank you very much. So, bado mapambano. So, unfortunately, we have to end the studio conversation, but we continue it online. My handle is at Olive Burrows. The NTV handle is at NTV Kenya. Prof's handle is at, we have two profs in the house. So, Professor To at J To Q. That's C-U-E. Alice Gakio and Anne Acheng say that is A. They say is A. Am I saying it right? A-S-E-E. But am I saying the name right?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So let's continue the conversation there. Now, Kenya's inaugural non-stop flight to New York is expected to land in the next 4 hours. President Uhuru Kenyatta last night presided over the historic milestone for the country's aviation sector when he flagged off the Kenya Airways direct flight from Nairobi to New York. The president flagged off the KQ Boeing 7878 Dreamliner carrying 234 passengers from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport destined for New York's JFK International Airport. The long-haul flight will last is in the process of it's in the air, and it's going to travel for 15 hours. And among the passengers on the maiden flight from Nairobi to New York were Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Monica Juma and the U.S. Ambassador Robert Godek. I was there yesterday, and President Uhuru Kenyatta met the plane on the tarmac, and the U.S. flag and the Kenya flag were taken on board by Ambassador Monica Juma. And yeah, there you go. There are the flags, and Godek as well. And so they went up the steps and back into the plane. The crew on board also waved at those who were present to witness the momentous occasion. Alex Mwangi is on that flight together with our cameraman Wainaina, and they will be bringing us stories from New York. Alex, for one, is very excited. It's his first time to visit the United States, and we're excited for him and Kenya as a country. We end NTV Today on that note, but don't go anywhere. NTV Sasa is coming up right next.